It is very exciting to have you all, and I'm very starstruck, and that's why I really just wanted to put my goggles on. Welcome, Nat and Yvette. I hope you both are doing well. Yeah, let's test that audio. Let's make sure that works. I think Cameron's just logging on, so we'll give him a few more seconds, but we'll crack on. Yvette, Leho, I wanted to start from Hong Kong, as we call it. Wow, you've been outspoken advocate of mental health apart from living it out yourself, and maybe let's just get started with that, because a lot of us in Hong Kong are very familiar with your work with Mind, but let's bring you back a little bit from the beginning and tell us a bit about your journey that explains why your interest in mental health is really so powerful.
Sure. I've been swimming since forever, since 3, but really my Olympic dream started young when I watched the Sydney Olympic Games in 2000. And then everything was progressing well, and I missed Beijing Olympics by a little bit, by about a second.
Right.
And then I also missed London Olympics by like 0.1 second.
My goodness.
Yeah, but I had my highs and lows. I used to be some sort of I was doing quite well at a younger age, and then I also had 6 years where I experienced a lot of lows, and was also experiencing some mental health issues where I needed to sort of help.
Right.
But with the right direction and support from my coaches and teammates, I was able to come out and eventually make my childhood dream come true. So, I think sports and mental health in sports, I think it's just as crucial as physical training. And to me, like after this experience, to me, mental health is really about, doing your best, like bringing out the best potential in people, regardless of their background, gender, and age. And living out your best, taking care of mental health and well-being will just unlock the best potential out of people. And I had a little bit experience on that, and I would love the same for everyone else.
Yeah, and I think that sets us off nicely. Cameron, I'm glad you can join us. Very nice to meet you.
How are you doing?
Very well. I hope you are very well.
I am, thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, and we'll give you a minute to breathe, but Cameron, first off, congratulations. We know that you are a new dad, and well done for that. And also, basically, we know that, I've seen a few videos earlier this year of you going through COVID and then rising out of it as well. So I feel like this session is multi-layered for you even more. We just heard from Yvette how her own journey started on mental health, and I guess if we turn to you now, we're delighted to kind of hear not just the wins and the highs, but also your humble beginnings onto swimming, and maybe tell us a bit about that, how you got started.
Sure. Thanks for having me. Sorry I was a little bit late. Baby, as you mentioned, little baby issues. We just finished the feed and put him down. He was going a bit crazy, but it was good. Thank you. My story, I think is not uncommon. It happens to a lot of kids where, I was young and I was diagnosed with ADHD and was put onto medication to try and alter my obviously unproductive and energetic behavior, which it didn't really react too well with my body and my genetic makeup, and kind of turned me into a bit of a zombie, which was quite sad. And eventually, one day my mom was like, "There's no way, this is not my child," and we looked for something else, or she looked for something else. Luckily, for my benefit, and I picked up sport, and at that stage I was doing all different types of sport. We were very lucky in South Africa in terms of that, we have great weather. A lot of the schools have, rugby fields, soccer fields, cricket, swimming, pool. So I was able to do a different sport every single day, and that went on for about a year, until such time as the swimming season came in. Mm-hmm. And first time I got in the pool, I just I really loved it. It was something as a young boy, you felt like you were flying in the water. It was like you were defying gravity. So it was incredible. And then at that stage, then I started picking up swimming more professionally. Went to a club, and just it was incredible because you started feeling like you were part of a unit, like part of a pack. And I think humans, we're all social animals, and it was just incredible to feel part of a unit and a team. That we all had quite a common interest and enjoyment and a sense of being, and it was a place for me to go every day that I could then express this energy into something super productive, whilst making good friends with people, like-minded people that supported what we wanted to achieve, and we all supported each other. So it was just incredibly lucky that my mother was able to give me that opportunity, and subsequent to then, still to this day, if I am retired now, but if I don't go and exercise or do something, I'm getting on my wife's nerves. She says, go, get out, go for a run, do something. Don't come talk to me until you've done your exercise. So
that's right.
It's still a big part of my life.
Yeah, no, I don't think we can ever lock down truly any athlete in particular. And Nat, that brings me to you. I was just watching, and maybe I overdose on a lot of your videos actually, because I'm just fascinated by this story of a young girl who didn't even want to put her feet into water, but when she did, she was a butterfly, literally. And for the swimmers out there, we know how difficult that stroke is, but to go from that to your successes, and then as you were introduced, tragedy strikes. How do you even get into that mindset? And you were so young, you weren't even 18, you were 16. Could you go back to that? I'm sorry that I'm asking you to do that, but do share that with us if you please.
Absolutely. I think, if I could share the sentiments, from Yvette and from Cameron, I think we all experience slightly different parts, but we all experience very much the same.
Right.
And, no matter what sport we take part in or what sport we play, I think ultimately sport it kind of feels the same for all of us.
Yes.
Cameron shared about having ADHD. I think for me, it was a platform to also be able to switch off, be able to take out your frustrations, be able to, feel part of that unit, feel like you're worth something in many instances. And ultimately, it is whatever challenge you go through, often what happens is you use your sport to be able to get through it. So it could be just, getting into a pool and swimming as hard as you can and touching the wall and saying, oh, you know what, I gave everything today. And you get out of the pool and you feel like your mind is refreshed. And I think that was what sport was to me. Going through a motorbike accident, it was kind of like probably hitting a low point in your sporting career. So for example, when I was 14 years old, I missed out on one of the races at Commonwealth Games, and it was a massive media story, media hype, and it was a very negative time in my life. And I think being able to get through that, one learns to be able to get through any challenge that one can go through. So again, piggybacking off sport, and sport becomes your outlet.
Yes.
And speaking about mental challenges today and mental health, I realized when I left sport that ultimately, my sport was the thing that was keeping me together. It was the glue. And ultimately it was one of those outlets where, when everybody said that you couldn't achieve, you tried to prove them wrong. And swimming was that sport that I could do that in. And I think going through an accident, I didn't think any differently. It was, let's see what we can do. Let's see how we can get through it. I wasn't really in a fortunate position to have too many psychologists within sport. However, I did have people around me that were there for me and supported me. And they're speaking about the team and the coach. Cameron speaking about the team.
Yes.
You don't want to miss a training session because you feel left out. So ultimately, that's the positive, I think, behind it, and what keeps one going.
Yeah, that's amazing. And look at you rising on the other side. That's really an inspiring story. And I'm going to use that to come back to Yvette, because you had the same sort of pivotal moment as well. You alluded to it earlier, missing London and Beijing. And it's, for many people, it's so hard to find that courage to give it one more go. But you did. Where does that grit come from, and how did you kind of bring yourself to that? I know that Edinburgh was part of the story there somewhere, but how did you get yourself there?
Yeah, no, I think, after missing 2 times of getting to my dream, I was quite down and sad, but I didn't know how to react to it actually.
Right.
I felt like there was a stigma in Asia around the topic of mental health, and that stigma is like even doubled among athletes. So, sometimes elite athletes can feel like they're expected to walk around in a cape like a superhero.
Yes.
When in fact we're also just humans. And in my own personal experience, I realized, I think the pivotal moment was when I realized that the strongest would walk around understanding what it means to be vulnerable, and walk around comfortably in their own skin.
Wow.
And realizing that just changed my life, where I was able to open up and talk to people. And like for me, like I also just wanted to shatter the kind of stigma so people can then take the first step to acknowledge that they might need help.
Right. Yeah, and you've just humanized what the idealism that we kind of bestow on athletes, right? Because we, of course, are broken, and rightfully so. When tragedy strikes, we are broken, and keeping it together is very difficult. And Cameron, I want to turn to you here, because in one of your older interviews, you also said, apart from swimming being your life, and this is your team, your school of fish, literally, swimming is meditation to you. And could you tell us a bit about that? Because I think that is something of the coping mechanisms that we keep hearing from athletes and coaches as well. How has that helped you?
I think it was a good realization when I did retire from swimming. I took about 2-3 months when I didn't swim at all, and I came to that point where it was so clear of how much swimming is that meditation, where I get in and you swim for an hour or 2, maybe a little bit less now, but you have that sort of inbox goes to zero, and you don't have a cell phone with you. You don't have any external stimulus, coming from anything that's like mechanical. It's all like you're just in the water and it's analog, and you just kind of decompress and delete anything that's bothering you. You talk through things. It's kind of funny as well, because you're in this pool and you're going up and down on a black line, and a lot of people will say, "Oh, but that sounds so boring." Don't you get a bit bored? But at the same time, I mean, that's pure meditation. It's not about the external. It's about what's going on inside in your mind, and that allows me to have that decompression and just find myself again. Find what's important, what's going on in my life. If there's anything underlying that's bothering me, I have that time where the chattering in my brain, and I think all of us have that on a day-to-day.
Right.
So much, you can't control your mind. Your mind, if I say to you, don't think of a white elephant, you're going to think of a white elephant.
Absolutely.
And and the idea is that when you're in the pool, the chattering kind of goes away, and you have that deep underlying what's going on, what's really bothering me, what do I need to talk about, what's important to me, and that's super important. And I'm not the guy that easily can sit and meditate. For me, the meditation is in the pool.
Yes.
It's a very important time for me, and time that I really try to prioritize.
That's it, moving meditation. And for everyone who kind of thinks I can't sit still, well, maybe that black line is really that center line that we need. Nat, I want to bring you in here, because I think you diving back into the pool, literally coming home after 9 months it took to walk again, and it must have been like a child saying, "Can I get into the pool now? Can I get into the pool now?" What was it like jumping in back and coming home?
It was, I think it was one of the points of call that doctors, family, coach, friends, it was one of those things that everybody said, let's try and get back to life as quickly as possible. I actually got into a pool before I could walk, purely because I had a lot of wounds still to heal.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a baby learning to walk again. I'd lost all my muscle. I was probably about 20 kilograms lighter than what I am now. And it was interesting times. But I think there is one part that is very, very important, and that is that when one makes a decision to do something, that you get in and you do it. You know, yes, it is tough, and yes, you know, you might go through challenges in terms of, you know, I mentioned missing a race. I had to make the decision to come back and get back into the sport again. So after the accident, it was about that. The decision was, I'm going to get back in the pool. Whatever happens, happens. However, I'm going to give it everything that I have. And no matter if you start from scratch, from the middle, from the end, it is important to have that clearly in your mind. And with that clearly in your mind, you set out. And when you set out to keep that in your mind. And I often find that was something that helped me tremendously through it all. I didn't do it all on my own. I had a very big team for me, a very big team around me, and team meaning, you know, when I was down, they were up, and you know, they kept me going. Some races, you know, I just thought I couldn't go out there. I didn't prepare enough, and I had voices in my head saying, "But you can do this, you can do this." And those voices were, you know, those friends and team around you. So, you know, it's often one has to understand that when you're at your lowest, it's possibly when you're also at your highest, depending on the team around you. So, you know, I was very, very grateful for that. And yes, you know, it's tough and it might take months, years to come back. But as long as you set that goal and you come through it on the other side.
That's a gift of any athlete, right? The razor focusedness, if that's the right word, to kind of get it and really stick with it. And that is what inspires the school around you and the team around you. And I think, Yvette, this was the same for you when you decided you were going to go for Rio. That was it. Everyone kind of coalesced around that. And I wonder now, as you know, being an ambassador of mental health, and you are an advisor to Mind Hong Kong, how much of this do you carry with you when you work, especially with the youngsters that are around you?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. So, you know, I've been on the board for Mind Hong Kong since it founded. And in short 3 years, I credit to the team. I think we've done a lot to try to destigmatize and to educate what mental health was really about. But I think for you know, school development, I think like physical health, like mental health education and interventions should start young.
Yes.
You know, we teach youngsters and we emphasize the importance of physical health so much. And we also reinforce good habits with them of having physical education classes and all that. But, you know, what about mental health? You know, how are we teaching and equipping children with resilience when they face adversity in life? But really, I think sports comes with two really good functions. You know, one is that it is a metaphor for life. So
absolutely,
a lot of the lessons that I learned in sports, I think, really helped me through my adulthood so far. Just kind of persistence, resilience, character building. I think the other is you know, reinforcing a good physical and mental health lifestyle that, you know, everyone can benefit. You know, learning how your mind and body connects. And I think the sooner we reinforce these kind of healthy and mental and physical behaviors, the longer that the kids can benefit from them in their lives.
Yeah, and it's that alignment of body and mind. It's not about the winning, isn't it? It's not about the goals and the successes. And that kind of pops me back to Natalie. I think there was, when you swam competitively, you had laminated a poem by Benjamin Mays on the wall that provided you that inspiration. And I think part of that poem said, the tragedy of life does not lie in not reaching your goals. The tragedy is not having goals to reach for. And is that something that you use now as a message, as a Laureus ambassador? You know, how are you imparting that to those that listen to you?
Absolutely. I think, you know, through life we go through different challenges, and I'll call them challenges rather than tragedies. But ultimately, you know, whatever we go through, we pretty much have a very similar thought process. And some of us, you know, find things more difficult than others, depending on what our experiences are in life. But I think what's important with Laureus and you know, the kids that we go and speak to, the kids that we go and see, you know, they're in areas, in remote areas. Some of them have got behavioral challenges. Some of them, you know, have really had a tough life. And I think for, you know, for that, it's all about, you know, meeting people. It's about having these goals, having these dreams. And one wouldn't really know what a goal or a dream is until you are thrust into a situation where you meet people that are doing things and are achieving things. So hopefully just to be in that inspiration as well. And, you know, at the end of the day, it is up to you as an individual to try and achieve and to try and go out there and be the best that you can be. And that's what we try and ask, you know, for the children, to try and be the best that they can be within the circumstances. A lot of them come up and, you know, they try and start organizations to help their communities. And at the end of the day, they are leaders in their own right. And it's tough to be a leader, no matter what. So, you know, it's okay to say that we're not okay for a while, as long as you come through it at the other end. And it's the same for the Laureus kids and the Laureus programs. Fantastic to see them smiling and playing sport, and getting out and, you know, meeting people. And I guess it's all about opportunities, because opportunities allow you to grow and to become better. And they also show you how to deal with your own issues within yourself. And, you know, you can also ask them for advice as well.
That's amazing, really powerful. And Cameron, I'm going to make sure that we bring you in on a final closure here. You're too young to be called a retiree, but you definitely are starting a new chapter of advising everyone and spreading that inspiration a bit more as a Laureus ambassador. How do you frame your message on the value of sports to overall mental health?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to always speak after Natalie, because, you know, she always uses the right words that I wish I had. But you know, judging off what you were just saying, kids are so malleable at that age, and you know, the circumstances that they find themselves in is not their fault. A lot of the times, it's a very difficult position. You know, very underprivileged, and there's no role models around for them. And you are, you know, the sort of the average of who you're spending your time with. So if you're in a circumstance where you know, there's only gangsters or crime going on, it's very difficult to be able to pull yourself out of that mindset, because that's kind of all you know. And for me, the most important thing, and why I love Laureus so much, is these programs that they start in these communities to give the kids that team environment, that sense of self-being, somewhere they can go and they know that they're doing good. They know that they're pulling themselves out of the difficult situation that they're in. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Not that, you know, you know, it's all only to do with sport. And I think what I love is just it's more the community. You know, you don't have to be the best boxer, you don't have to be the best swimmer, you don't have to be the best runner. It's just that ability to be able to put your mind into something positive, into building better skills, and just, improving your life and teaching kids not, you know, hopefully not to land behind bars or the life that they had no other choice to find.
Powerful message of just being the best that you can be. In fact, I think we've got a video of your visit to the Laureus-funded program called Fight for Peace in London. I think we're just going to show that right now.
Brutal. I'm sweating more than what I am when I'm in the pool. Well, we're here today for the Laureus Sport for Good Foundation. We are here supporting Fight for Peace in East London. Projects like these are so important, I think, for me personally, because I really came from a background where sport really helped me get ahead in life. I really suffered with ADHD. Schoolwork, making friends, I found quite a bit of a challenge. And instead of going on to medication, I took up sport.
Every day after my exam, I would come to the dojo and I would train. And that helped me kind of keep my mind at equilibrium and level everything out.
Being able to really knuckle down and put time aside to be able to like craft, to do what you want to do, to get ahead in life, build yourself up and eventually make something of your life. that's all the foundation and the base of sport.
With coaching, I aim to help all the members who attend to progress in any form of life that they want to. So it's more of suggesting ideas of where the members want to head in terms of their path, and if they want to head in that direction, just guiding them through it and helping them.
Be able to be here, standing here with these amazing kids right now, and it's all just to do with sport and how that's opened doors. And I always say that sport opens the doors, but you need to walk through it, and that's what I've been trying to also tell the kids here today.
If I wasn't at Fight for Peace, I think I would be very pessimistic, lazy. However, with Fight for Peace, it's literally my second home. I can come to Fight for Peace after college. I'm surrounded by a lot of optimistic people, and if you surround yourself by good people, you become a good person.
To actually be involved on the ground with the kids here and see what actually good that the foundation really does, it actually makes you really respect even more, want to get involved even more. I'm just so proud to be involved with this amazing foundation.